Welcome to Beyond the Veil, everyone. I am Adina. I am your psychic medium woo lady, and I'm happy to have you here on my channel. I'd like to do this reading today on Ennis Cosby. I have been thinking about this for years. I actually want to go get my bell, so give me a second. Alright, you guys, I'm back. So not only did I get my bell, I got my favorite incense. Something about turning 37, right around the time that I turned 37 this past October, I fell in love with rose-scented things. When I was a little girl, my grandmother used to have a lot of rose. My paternal grandmother used to have a lot of rose-scented stuff. She was very much a lady. She had big gaudy jewelry. She had sweet perfumes. She had lipsticks, and she was a very jazzy lady. And I used to love watching her and my mother groom themselves, do their hair, put on their makeup, and get dressed and stuff like that. Anyways, my grandmother had a lot of rose-scented stuff. I liked it when I was younger, but somewhere in my youth, I didn't appreciate it. It smelled like old lady. I'm turning into an old lady, y'all, because rose is the most feminine scent to me. In my juju, I use rose in anything as an offering, as a nod to the divine feminine, which is the portal for magic and spirituality. So I use rose in almost everything except for protection work or things that are harsh or dark or aggressive. But lately, the smell of rose, I like for my room to smell like roses. So when I pass away and you guys make sacrifices to me and put me on your altars and things like that, I've told you all before how to venerate me as an ancestor, but I'll add more things as I find them. I like rose scented things. I like rose incense. So you guys fumigate my altar with rose incense. Or things that are rich and expensive. You got to spend, I like quality stuff. So get good quality stuff. I ain't saying it's got to cost an arm and a leg, but if it's quality, it might cost an arm and a leg. Spend that. Big Dina gonna spend a block for you. You got to give me good weed on my altar. Blow some. If you can't give me no offering if you don't inhale it and blow it on my altar. So you got to take one for the team. I like good champagne, good wine, good spirits. None of the cheap stuff. I'm not a vodka girl. I'm not a gin girl. Don't put no gin on my altar. I like tequila if I'm going to do a white. I like Saint Germain liqueur. I like great wine, Pinot Noir, Cabernet. I'll do a red blend too. I like Riesling for white wine. Champagne, I like expensive champagne because it tastes better. Dom Perignon, that tastes great. Perrier Jouet, it tastes great. Veuve, it tastes great. It tastes better than the other stuff. So, that's my altar, but rose. So I'm going to light this for Ennis. I believe he was, never mind, I won't say that. I'm just going to get into it. Oh, I love that smell. I love it. All right, let me woo my cards with some of this. Stomach growling. I ain't ate all day. My nieces had soccer games this morning at like 9:30. And I was out there at the soccer game freezing my ass off. Anyways. Now, Ennis is Bill Cosby's son. He was murdered on the side of a freeway in LA in broad daylight. They say it was a robbery. Who robbed somebody on the freeway, on the side of the freeway in broad daylight? I believe that his car had some issues. He pulled over. I believe his girlfriend came up to give him some assistance or something. And with her came trouble. Ennis was robbed by a white male. I don't remember his name. In broad daylight. Soon after, Ennis's white girlfriend. I'm just saying because I feel like there's something that goes on with this. I'm not prejudiced. I'm saying this because I think there's something to it. A few minutes after she got there, so did the robber. And she's alive. She went away unscathed. What did they expect to rob from that man on the side of the freeway in his car? Anyways, so I'm going to call up Ennis. I think that Ennis was Bill's sacrifice. But what do I know? All right, since he's passed away and I want a really strong reading from him because I've been interested in doing this for a while, I'm going to get myself together. Ennis Cosby. Most High Mother and Father God, please allow me to conjure up the spirit, the soul of Ennis Cosby. Ennis Cosby. Ennis Cosby. Ennis Cosby. Ennis Cosby. Ennis Cosby. I invite your energy and your spirit into this room with me so that I can speak to you. Ennis, son of Bill Cosby. Most High Mother and Father God, please allow me to conjure up the spirit, the soul of Ennis Cosby. Ennis. Black sweatshirt, gold chain, black cap, black sweats, black and white shoes. That's how I see you, Ennis. Ennis Cosby, can you tell me about what happened to you the day that you passed away? The day that your life was taken? And what were the circumstances surrounding your passing? Let me pull up your picture because I want to see you. Ennis Cosby. Oh, you passed away January 16th, 1997. The date of your passing is approaching in about 5 days. He was 27 years old when he was shot and killed, murdered on January 16th, 1997, near Interstate 405 in LA, where we are currently seeing wildfires. He was shot in the head by 18-year-old Mikhail Marksev in a failed robbery attempt. Cosby was 27. There's a thing called the 27 Club in Hollywood where certain celebrities all passed away at the age of 27. I wonder if Bill made a payment. Ennis Cosby, talk to me about your passing, the failed robbery attempt. Can you talk to me about it, and if it truly was an unfortunate series of events? Was it just an unfortunate incident that happened, or was there anything more sinister involved in Ennis Cosby? How did this man even happen upon you? Was he out on his way just looking for somebody to rob and saw you with your gold chains on the side of the road? How did that work for you, Ennis? Queen of Cups, his girlfriend. I believe that he was on the phone with her, or he was going to meet with her that day. But I believe from seeing this, Ennis is saying she called him. Maybe. Ennis Cosby, girlfriend. Stephanie Crane. At approximately 1 a.m. PST, he pulled off the freeway. So this wasn't broad daylight. He pulled off the freeway onto Skirball Center Drive, tending to a flat tire on his dark green Mercedes-Benz. He called his girlfriend, Stephanie Crane, who drove to meet him. Hold on. This is Stephanie Crane here, the center of this reading about his passing. He called her because he was supposed to meet her, but he had a flat. So he called her on the cell, told her where he was. According to LA Times, 17 months ago, she was the unnamed, unknown woman in fur standing alongside a darkened roadway where Bill Cosby's son had just been killed. In the darkness, lighted only by the glare of headlight, she wore high heels and a fur coat. Although police at the time did not name the woman who arrived to help Cosby change a flat tire, why would he call his girlfriend to come help him change a flat tire? They were near the Sepulveda Pass. The media quickly identified her as struggling screenwriter Stephanie Crane. In months after the killing, she went into hiding and avoided speaking about the tragedy, even when the tabloid news media offered a small fortune for her story. Not only is she the woman who helped police draw a composite sketch of the murder suspect, but she was apparently the last person to speak to Cosby moments before he passed. With a Hollywood bloodline of her own, a tumultuous personal life, and years of struggles to make her mark as a writer, Crane's life seems more like it was drawn from the pages of an earlier court drama, The Murder of Trial of O.J. Simpson. For their part, both the Crane and Cosby families agree that Stephanie Crane and her brief friendship with Ennis Cosby should not be the issue. They wanted the focus of the trial to remain on the killer and not shift the 49-year-old writer, not shift to Stephanie or anyone else. There is, in a trial of a murder, there is nothing wrong with looking into everyone. She was the only person there when this happened. She was the last person he spoke to. Why are they urging? A spokesman for Bill Cosby urged that the focus of the trial remain on Marxism and not to Stephanie. If you guys know anything about Bill Cosby's history, he was always in the black community either beloved or a little bit questionable because of how he seemed to be anti the culture, and he wanted us to be a more civilized, palatable version of black that wouldn't offend white audiences. My uncle, who was the pastor and mind controller of my family, was from the school of Cosby. He molded himself and his family after Cosby. And my uncle holds the same ideology about black people and white people. He favors the whites over the blacks, even though my uncle is... Anyways. Barbara Gilbert Cohen called her sister a hero that's not been given her due. She went out there that night to help a friend, and she is the only person I know who would have stayed there and not left that murder scene in the middle of the night. You know people who watch their friend get murdered and don't stick around for the police to get there? Because I don't know anybody who does that. They even said that they think it's a great disappointment that neither Bill Cosby nor any of his family have called to thank her. Says Ennis and Stephanie met by a chance happening at a 1997 party at the Chateau Marmont on the Sunset Strip. So they didn't date that long. I don't think they were serious boyfriend and girlfriend. I think they met briefly, hooked up probably. She was older, struggling screenwriter. He was the young black son of Bill V. Cosby. And that night, I think that it says that he wanted to go and meet up with her, so he called her. Challenge. I don't think he would have been dead if it wasn't for her. Death in reversed as the challenge. He shouldn't have passed away that night from having his tire flat. And if it wasn't for calling her, nobody would have pulled up beside him to rob him. I believe. I know he struggled with dyslexia. I would like to say that this man was plotted against. There's a spiritual element to this. I believe that Bill, and I know this because it's been talked about by Bill over the years, Bill didn't have the best relationship with Ennis. Ennis was dyslexic, and before he was diagnosed, I think that Bill just was like, why are you like this? Why are you so black and not more put together? They say that, I know he struggled in school. I know that Bill probably thought that it was something that they were doing or that Ennis was just goofing off until later on they found out he was dyslexic. He got some help. All of a sudden his grades improve. He goes and gets his bachelor's and all this other stuff. I think that Camille probably shielded and tried to protect Ennis from a lot of Bill's judgment and harshness. And I think that sometime before Ennis was diagnosed as dyslexic, I think Bill might have had conversations in his attempts to rise that showed that maybe he didn't care too much about his son. I think that when he got diagnosed and then Bill saw, oh, all is not lost. He's not dumb. He's not this. He just has a disability. Now I love him. He's not a failure. I love him now. It's just something wrong with him. By then it was too late though. I think that Bill had showed so much disdain for his son the way he was before he can say, oh, it's not just my son, something's wrong with him, so there's an excuse because we didn't raise him to be this much of a failure. But by then it was too late. I think that Bill had put it out there that Ennis was probably the one that he didn't care that much about in some way, whether it was Bill or Stephanie. I believe that Ennis was plotted on. I think that things were already set in motion. I do believe that Ennis was caught off guard by the person who did this to him. I don't know if the person was attempting to rob Ennis because I don't know if Ennis fought back or tried to stand his ground. This in reverse doesn't make me feel like there was any struggle. This makes me feel like it was a sneak attack. You might struggle with somebody that you're attempting to rob. But this in my mind makes me feel like Ennis was doing what he was doing. This guy approached him, walk up. There wasn't any struggle. There wasn't any demand to hand over your wallet. I think he walked up and shot him without an attempt to steal anything from him. I don't think Ennis was postured to defend himself from a robbery. I wonder how Camille felt about this woman, Stephanie Crane. I wonder I know she was older than Ennis. I know that she went into hiding afterwards. In the crowding position, I think that is Ennis saying she went into isolation afterwards for a reason. This is her going into hiding. Shoot, I wasn't supposed to do that. Here I did, though. I wonder if the killer got away with any of Ennis's things. No, they said a failed robbery. I think the robbery was what they said. The excuse, the alibi that they used. He didn't even take anything. Did Bill Cosby get released yet? All right. External energy. I don't know if that man got out of prison. If he passed away in there, the man who did this, I believe he still might be in there. Ironically, Bill had to spend time in prison. I feel like this was a sacrifice. Whether Bill knew that he was sacrificing his son or not, at some point, I feel like he was aware that this is how the game goes. And Bill was absolutely trying to become a major player. He was alleged to have involvement with Hugh Hefner and all kinds of things. So Bill was absolutely playing the game, I believe, at some point. And he realized that there was sacrifice that came with it. I think at some point, if he didn't outright acknowledge the fact that he would be willing to sacrifice his son, he gave off that energy. Which is why part of the reason energetically I feel like he ended up in prison later on in his life. Hopes and fears. I believe that for Bill Cosby to become what he became, a first son, his namesake, was required. I just don't think Bill Cosby continued to play the game in a way that would protect him. I see that he was shot in his car. I think he was set up, and I think everything went according to plan. Black man, white woman, and then the man who came there to do it, but also the man who made it all possible. I don't want to say that Bill Cosby is responsible for his son's passing, but in an indirect way, I think the Chariot spirit. I don't even know if that road was like had heavy traffic that time of night. I think that if he hadn't have made that call to Stephanie, none of that would have happened with that Four of Cups. He would have just, if people did pass him by and see him, nobody would have stopped to try to rob him. They would have probably thought by his car and stuff that he I don't know if he called her for help. If he said, hey, I'm on my way to come see you, but I got a flat. And she's like, oh, no, don't worry. I'll come help. I see that she came and somebody came quickly after, and Ennis was kind of probably like, who is that? Standing up watching. I don't see a struggle, and I don't see anybody confronting him saying, give me your money. Present position, Spirit. Stephanie, the Queen of Cups. She was hiding her true intentions with him. I think she set him up. I don't know if this is the first black guy she dated, but there is a black guy element to here. Black guy, younger. His dad. Challenging death. That other guy wouldn't have been there if he didn't call her. I see the guy that did it and this girl being in on it together, Stephanie. I think that she overplayed her hand. I think that Bill had a reputation of feeling away and thinking away about his son. I think that she overplayed her hand, thinking that by being the hero, it would win her some favors or some cool points with Bill, and it would help her career. I believe that people in the industry knew how Bill Cosby felt by his son, and that led to his son's passing. Because anybody could try to play on that family dynamic that was broken between Bill and his son, and it seems like someone did. Someone thought that Bill would probably dote on the white savior who saved his son. It didn't happen that way, which is why I think they were so perturbed that Bill didn't publicly thank her and things like that. I think they were banking on having that publicity and having Bill dote on her. When Bill stayed silent and played quiet and allowed the public opinion to crucify her, I think she then realized, oh, this didn't turn out the way I thought it would. I gotta lay low. Because I thought this would go better for me. The great white hope, it didn't. The public, especially the black delegation, automatically thought she had something to do with it. And when Bill didn't come out and defend her white honor, she went into hiding and then had her family say things like how they were disappointed that this victim's father didn't publicly thank her just for standing there with him. She probably was going through his pockets trying to take whatever from him that she could find. Ennis Cosby, did Stephanie Crane have anything to do with your passing? One card. Did Stephanie Crane have anything to do with your passing directly? One card. I believe she set up the robbery. And there might have been some money taken off of him, but she got it. If not, the whole robbery attempt, I believe, was started from her. Clarify the Six of Pentacles in reverse. I think that either Bill was, somebody was supposed to make sure that the guy who did it and the girl got something out of it. What just fell out, Spirit? I think this woman planned it. I think that she was smart, cunning, screenwriter, struggling screenwriter. In some way, this is supposed to help her career, either by her association with Cosby or some monetary way. And I think she probably would have tried to support the young man that did it, or she set both of them up. You do this, we'll get away with it, and we'll split the money that we get. I think she expected some kind of grace and favor from Bill Cosby. I see Bill here, the emperor. Ennis Cosby, did your father have anything to do with your passing? Or was he truly, truly, truly heartbroken and shocked and saddened by this? Give me one card, Ennis. Talk to me about your father and your passing. Ace of Pentacles. I believe Ennis was a sacrifice for his father's career, his father's fame. His father might have even had some direct implication. I don't know. But at worst case scenario, his desire to be a part of the Hollywood elite, I believe, to get into that community, I believe, is what required Ennis's life. I believe that Ennis was a sacrifice. I believe that something that Bill Cosby said at his parties, at those parties with his Hollywood friends that he was trying to be chummy with, he probably threw his son under the bus so much, said so many negative things about him, just to find out that he was dyslexic and then be like, oh, snap, he's not the bad person that I thought he was, but by then it was too late. I believe that Bill's hands are not clean in his son's death, either directly or indirectly. I definitely believe that Stephanie Crane set up Ennis. I believe that that young man who did it was a patsy a little bit, because he did it, but I don't think that he thought that he would go to prison. I think that he thought that Stephanie and him would rob the Cosby family blind or get something out of it, and this would be an unsolved case, like a lot of sacrifice cases were. I believe that Cosby got played. I believe that he thought that he was into the good old boys club, and he was not that much into it. I think that they allowed him in, but he was still a sucker for them, even though he wanted to be a lord to our black community. I believe that he stopped being useful. I believe he stopped making payments. And I do believe that he thought that he was too big for his britches when he thought that he could buy NBC Universal. And I believe that they thought, man, you haven't made a sacrifice since your son. Sit down somewhere. As a matter of fact, go to prison. And that's what you get, Bill. That's exactly what you get. Love you guys. Bye.